We are delighted to have Financial Planning Matters as our official podcast sponsor. To those that don't know, Financial Planning Matters help individuals secure their financial future. The company is led by a great friend of ours, Niall O'Connor, who is also a UEFA B licensed coach as well, familiar within that football space. Niall has helped me personally secure my financial future by allowing me to get a good understanding of my money management. A couple of small things where he helped me improve were understanding where to put money into specific investments, how to save for my retirement, and as well as that, small little tips and tricks like having an emergency fund and how to budget correctly for those longer term payments. If you want to get in contact with Niall and the team about your financial future, you can reach out to them directly at www.fpms.ie.
We should do a one-to-one charity boxing thing. Me, you and G. Three of us in the ring together. Just bang.
That'd be a fucking disaster.
Tag team or something.
That'd be a fucking disaster.
It'd be you and G. I'd be, honestly.
Get the team onto one client and G.
If I took 1 punch, I'd be gone. That'd be me tapped out.
You did a bit with us before, yeah?
Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah, I was telling Morgan, there's a lot of coach out in UCD. He's with one of the younger teams, but this lad's posh as well, so this is even funnier of a story. If you knew him, it would be hilarious. But he got into like kickboxing or something when he was younger, just whatever, fancied himself, and he was trying all this, and he had a fight, and then he was there, and he said, bell rings, your man leg kicks him in the shin, and he said your man didn't even flinch. He said it's the worst pain he's ever felt. He just tapped out. He's just gone. He was like, he said when he kicked him, he was just like, the fact that he didn't react to just how sore that was, and it must have hurt him too. Yeah, he just tapped out. He's like, I can't be dealing with this. Imagine that. Like,
done. Standing someone up, I don't get massively nervous watching stuff. Like pitch side yesterday, for a Champions League game, I was like, it's just a game.
Yeah.
What happens. But watching boxing,
it's an individual, like,
makes me so nervous.
Really? Yeah.
So anxious when I'm watching it. Doesn't matter the level. I don't even have to have any vested interest in what is going on. I can feel the tension around it. You just think about the families ringside, any partners. You're like, if you get hit, first of all, ow. I could not be dealing with announcing that. And then second of all, the notion of like my family are watching me, like it's not a case like you can lose a game of football and it's like, oh, there's a team, I can it is what it is.
Yeah.
But when it's combat, it's just
I
so
think
scary.
families like girlfriends or wives, kids, parents, they're probably in a harder position than I am when I get in, because one, I've some sense of control over, and two, I'm in there doing it, so I don't have time to think about all that shit.
Yeah.
Whereas they're just sitting there watching, like waiting, like, do you know what I mean? They're just waiting. Like my mad is be out in the corridor saying prayers and covering her eyes. Like,
I'm not
can only
surprised.
imagine, like, yeah, because you can't do anything. Like you're helpless, really, aren't you? Sitting there, like.
What is the motivation to step into the ring every single time you go and fight?
I think that this was just what I was born to do. Like, I just have I'm finding it more and more as I'm getting a little bit older as well. I've always had a faith in something bigger and more powerful than us and than me, and I've always believed that I'm destined to do what I'm doing, and I'm just following a path and following a journey that I'm supposed to be on. And I believe that I was born to do this and to fight, and this is what I was put on this earth to do. Like, so I'm just kind of trying to connect with myself and with the higher powers, and trying to listen and try and be guided as much as possible, and just whatever will be. But I believe that this is my destiny, and that I'm destined for what I'm doing now and for more as well. So that's why I suppose I could come back from adversity in the past and all these kind of things, because when I'm hit with this, I believe that there's more behind it, like, and I just think that I'm built to do this and built to be a world champion. So obviously it takes a lot of mental strength and resilience and stuff like that, because it's not always easy, and you're always hit with setbacks. From I joined boxing when I was 6 years of age, like, so since then, losing fights, and lost my first national final, second national final, third lost 4 in a row, and then eventually won my 5th. Lost in the senior championships when I was trying to qualify for Olympics. In any sport, you're always going to be hit with setbacks, like, so I think building a lot of mental toughness and resilience over the years, but ultimately I have just this belief that this is what I'm supposed to do, and I just need to. I don't put too much pressure on it because I believe that I'm on the right path and I'm just walking the journey that was what was supposed for me. Like so, I have faith in that and I have belief in that, and the more faith and the more belief I put in that, the more things seem to come true for me. Like so.
Well put.
Very well put.
Very well put. Do you
I hope we're rolling now.
Yeah. We're rolling.
The natural flow.
I'm going to clip that.
Darren's like, clip.
Do you because I see you all the time, like you're constantly preaching stuff, and it's actually interesting because not a lot of sports people, and you do it quite well, I think, kind of showcase their day to day of like what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like small things, like little supplements you take. You kind of are constantly showcasing essentially what you're doing.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, and you seem to have, very similar to what you said there, you practice a lot in terms of like, is it spirituality? Is that what you'd call it?
Yeah, I would say so. I've always been quite spiritual from when I was a young age. I remember my mum, this is a funny story, my mum was reading The Secret when I was a kid. I was playing football, probably about 9 or 10, and we were the F50s. It was the old F50s, the black and white ones, yeah. And we were looking everywhere for these. I wanted new football boots, and we were looking everywhere for these F50s. Nowhere had them. Lifestyle and Naas didn't have them. Elvery's and Naas didn't have them. Nowhere had them. And I was just picturing wearing these F50 boots in my next match, like playing on Saturday. It was during the week, and I was picturing wearing these F50 boots. And we drove to Newbridge, and we went to Lifestyle in Newbridge, and on the last pairs rack, there was a pair of these F50s only in my size, and I was like, boom, got them. And ever since then, I've believed in law of attraction. that's what got me believing in law of attraction and got me into the spirituality thing. And I've dived more and more into it as I've been getting older, and it kind of just helps me deal with the toughness of life, I guess, sometimes, and my belief and my faith and all of that. And yeah, definitely very spiritual, and more so as I'm getting older, I think. Yeah.
Very interesting. Like when you, obviously it's in like your day-to-day life, it's not something you just kind of switch on and off, but what do you do to practice? Like I presume you do a lot of mindful practice, and what is it? I presume it's a big part of your like kind of weekly routine to kind of dive into this.
Yeah, so I used to make sure, like growing up, I guess everybody is pretty confused as to like what it is or what's out there, or is there more out there, or all of this kind of stuff. And I've always believed that, like I say, when I put energy, and all of my energy was in achieving a certain goal or visualizing and manifesting something that I really wanted, there's never been a time where it hasn't happened. Like so, I've always believed in something bigger pulling me towards that goal, and that's where the belief comes from, that I've been built for this, and that this is my road and my path to walk down. And the more I believe in that, the more it seems to come true. And I think that's where the original belief come from. And then it was just more so like mindfulness, as in meditation. I used to try and slow myself down and just try and be still, and I was reading books on it, and then we started floats, yoga, all these kind of things kind of help to slow you down and bring you some stillness. And then only recently, I suppose, in the last 12 months, I've found something that I guess I could call like God-like, and have a faith in something that I can call God. And I'm not religious in any sense of the word. I kind of lived for a couple of years where I had a resentment towards religion, really, because I believe it causes lots of wars and lots of hurt in the world and stuff like that. So never really been a religious person, but as far as religions, they all teach the same thing, that we're looking up to something higher than us. So I think that I can believe in that, and that there's definitely something more powerful out there than we are. And if we can tap into that and tap into ourselves, then we can find peace, we can find happiness. Like I say, all these manifestations and visualizations that I've produced and have manifested over the last couple of years, they're all possible if you put your faith into this higher power. I don't know what you want to call it, if it's God, if it's the universe, source, energy, all these different words what people use, but there's definitely something out there that is more powerful than us. I just think that everything, like you read all the time, everything has a vibration, and if you live with love, and you live with wishing people well and positivity, then you're ultimately going to do well, and good things are going to find you. Whereas if you live in fear and you live in hate and you live in anger, then you're going to live on a lower vibration. You're going to speak to lower vibrational energies, and ultimately your life is going to be lived on a lower vibration. Whereas if you try to be grateful, you try and speak positively to positive people, you try and believe in yourself, and you try and push yourself, and you try and keep challenging yourself, and you try and improve and want more all the time, then ultimately you're only going to go one direction, you know.
It's interesting because any successful sports star person you hear talking about it's that idea of having a faith in something. It's almost like when you go into, for you, a fight or a match for a football or whatever it might be, it's nearly like it takes doubt away, because like doubt can kill a performance, let's
100%.
say. Whereas when you're going in, you know, you've done your prep, what will be kind of like whatever that higher power is going to dictate what happens here.
Yeah.
Like, do you find a lot? You see that with footballers where they're kind of like,
Yes.
like, we've done the prep. It's
It's
not up to, it's
essentially
just going to happen. Like
a surrender.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
I've done what I can do. Now I surrender to what is to be.
I read a book, and it's in the zone too. You've probably read it, or maybe have heard of it, but it's talking about that flow state and getting in the zone, and it's saying when you're in preparation, when you're in training camp, when you're in the gym, you've got to be thinking all of the time. You've got to be thinking about this shot might be coming, or you're practicing certain drills or whatever. When you get the competition time, or when you get the fight time or match time or whatever it is, the trick is to not think, to surrender fully to whatever it may be, and like you say, what will be will be. In my last camp, I actually got a tattoo on my leg, God's plan, because that's my belief. Is it brought me a lot of peace in my last couple of camps since coming back from the adversity back in May 23, sorry, coming back from the loss, and it brought me a lot of peace thinking I've put the preparation in, I believe in myself, I believe in my skills, and now it's down to God. Whereas I used to put, I think starting out in my career, like I used to put so much pressure on myself, into my performance, and into, I guess, what other people are going to think of my performance and what it's going to come across like, and how I'm going to come across, and all of this stuff. Now ultimately I just prepare to the best of my abilities, listen to my coach, do everything that I know that I can do, and prepare to the best that I know that I can, and then it's up to God. And like I say, I have this belief that I am meant to do this, and I am meant to be a world champion. So if that belief is correct, and I have faith in this belief, then ultimately it's going to come true. And I think that that's where the best performances come out of, because it kind of brings you some peace and lets a little bit of pressure off, I think, when you know you've done everything you can do in the training camp. And the only time I'll ever feel pressure is if there's a time when I get to the Friday night of the fight, the night before, you're weighed in and you go, I should have done this in camp, or I should have done that. But I've never had a moment in my career yet where I went, I should have done this, or no, I cut the corner there, or I cut the corner here. Once I've done everything in camp and everything's ticked off the list, then pressure's off me. I've done what I can do, and it's time to just perform then, like, you know.
Beautiful. It's the importance of preparation as well, isn't it? Because again, we talk about in football, any context of any sport, to be honest with you, or to be honest, most things, you could do like a flawless camp, the most perfect preparation for a game day, everything's down to a T, set pieces, everything's perfect, and the first 30 seconds, bang. Could be in a fight context, you get a hit and you're like, right, I have not prepared for this moment, but you can't, can you? Like when you're in the ring, when you're on the pitch, it's just, you just have to let it flow, whatever it is.
It just
and
has
so
to
people can't
flow.
dig into that flow state. That's the problem. They go out and they're immediately in fear, and a lot of that probably does come from poor preparation, or they don't feel as, I'm not as prepared as I possibly can be here.
Yeah. Well, I think to go back at that point, I've had probably the best preparation and the best camp that I've ever had. My whole professional career was probably the fight I lost. So again, I think that sometimes you can put too much, not too much confidence into your preparation, but I prepared so well that I thought when I got the fight week, the result was already ticked off. I'd already won. I was nearly partying on the Wednesday before the weigh-in, like, do you know what I mean? Nearly celebrating, organising all these breakfast that I was going to go for with my mates and what we were doing the week after, and I was living in the following week celebrating. And the preparation was done, but there was still a full week, and I still had to go to work that week, like, you know, and I still had to put in the performance that was needed that I didn't do because I was focused on something else. What's next? World title next, celebrations, all of this kind of stuff that doesn't really matter until you win the fight. So preparation is massively, massively important. But like I say, also when you get to the fight, you really have to be, I guess that's probably not living in the present moment. I'm living in the following week going, yeah, my holiday is here and this and this. Whereas I think you need to really be present and focus on what's going on in that moment. Like
Very interesting. Go on,
Sorry, you go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think, obviously, losing a fight, it is what it is. You lose games, that's life. Do you think a major factor of that was the psychological side of things, where prior, like you said, you weren't being present? You'd done, like you said, probably your best preparation, but you hadn't fought yet, and it was right. Did you catch yourself at all prior to the fight, going, "Why am I thinking ahead?" Or was it just a case of, "I feel so good, I'm ready to rock, this is going to happen," and then I just live with it? Do you think the psychological thing really gave an upset?
Yeah, there was a lot going on in my head in the lead up to that. It was one of the things was living in, like, I've put the best camp of my career in. I'm a week out now. This fight is won, basically. They're drafting somebody in because I didn't have an opponent up until 2 weeks before the fight.
Right.
So I had no, usually it's like you've got your opponent and there's 8 weeks to go, you're in a camp, you're thinking about him, you're going to sleep thinking about that opponent, you're going to sleep like thinking about what he brings, what you're going to do, etc. So I didn't have that until 2 weeks beforehand, and it was just like everybody at the time, I was on a 5-fight knockout streak. So everybody was just like turning it down or going, "No, give me double the money," or like it was very hard to find an opponent for that fight. Like, so everybody that popped up, I was just like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, offered to him." So when this one came up, it was just kind of like, yeah, I didn't probably put enough preparation onto the opponent. I put it into like, yeah, I'm fighting, and I guess probably the most important thing to do in your preparation is focus on yourself and what you can do. But at the top level, especially in boxing and in an individual sport, you always have to look at what the opponent's going to bring and what they're going to try and do. And I don't think I put enough preparation into breaking down the opponent that I was fighting on the night. And then also just probably didn't realise how much the pressure had got to me. I was co-headline on a Katie Taylor bill. She was sold out the 3 Arena. She's Ireland's daughter. Everybody, if there's 4 of us in this room, we all love Katie Taylor. Like everybody in the street loves Katie Taylor. Like, you know, and it was a massive, massive thing for the whole country. Not only in a boxing sense, but just Ireland. We're a proud country, and we get behind our athletes and our fighters, and everybody was so buzzing for that show. I found myself co-headline on it. And probably didn't put enough, like I say, emphasis on this guy's coming in here to kind of take my head off, like, you know. There was people coming up to me, like I say, I was on the 5-fight knockout streak, and people were just coming up to me at the public workout saying, "Oh yeah, what round's this going to end? And we made money on you the last time in the bookies." And I was going, "Oh yeah," I was playing it off, going, "Yeah, this guy's coming here as well to fight me," like, you know. But it probably does subconsciously seep into your head, like, you know, you're going, "Yeah, what round am I going in?" And so that as well, not focusing fully on my opponent. When the bell rang, because like I say, there was a bit of pressure on me to perform. I was co-headline on a Katie Taylor bill. I was Ireland's next superstar. This was my coming out party. It was this and then a world title, myself in the 3 Arena, and the bell rang, and after 30 seconds I felt like, and this is probably just in my head, I felt like the whole arena, 10,000 people sold out, the place was silent, you could hear a pin drop, because everybody was just waiting on me to
show and do something like that.
This, like, to right, you've done this in your past 5 fights, they've all been in the UK, now we're in Dublin, you're co-headline, it's your moment. The place went silent, and I didn't have that experience in them fights to go, okay, just take a little walk, take a little break. This is a 10-round fight. Like, I was just like, get this guy out of here. Let's land and let's get this guy out of here. And in the past, every time I'd done that to anybody, they had went. So when I did it to somebody who was more experienced, way more experienced than me, fought at a much higher level than I'd been fighting at, fought at higher weight classes than I'd been fighting at, and he just kind of played me like an inexperienced fighter, and I was an inexperienced fighter at the time, and credit to him, he played his game well, but like I say, after 30 seconds I just felt the place was boom dead. Like, you could hear a pin drop. Everybody was just waiting on Gary Cully to knock this guy out. Like, so probably just took that shot that I tried to throw that got me caught in the third round. If I'd have waited until the sixth round or the seventh round when he was ready to go and broke him down a little bit more over the first few rounds, then that fight possibly could have went a lot different than what we're talking about now. But I just feel like I rushed the whole occasion. There was a bit of pressure on me to perform, and I jumped in, and like we see time and time again, boxing is unforgiving. Like, it's only one mistake, and then you don't get a chance to. I always think with football or one of these sports, like Liverpool lose on last Saturday, they come back this week, they win 3-0, all is forgotten about. I've got 6 months on the sidelines to, one, think about it and mull it over in my head over and over and over again. 2, for listen to all these people for 6 months going, oh, he's finished, he's not what I thought he was, he's this. So it was a difficult period in between that fight as well. But yeah, I think just lots of pressure and pressure that I didn't realise at the time, and was probably, like I say, celebrating a little bit too soon as well. But learned loads from there. I think a lot of people, when it first happened, I'm a winner and I was out of the winner's circle, was how I thought. So my initial thought the day after the fight was, how do I get back in the winner's circle? That was just full focus on getting back in the winner's circle. But now looking back on it, like, I see so many lads who they'll lose a fight or they'll get caught like that, and it happens to plenty of fighters, and they'll just never fight again. Because people are saying to me in the months after and stuff like that, oh yeah, fair play to come back, and there was this big thing made about the same dressing room and the same ring and all this when I came back and fought in Dublin after that. But for me, it was just getting back in the winner's circle. I had no real choice to. I was a winner. I'm trying to win all the time in training, in our runs, in our strength sessions. I'm trying to lift the heaviest. In our runs, I'm trying to run the fastest. If we're punching on the bags, I'm trying to throw the most punches. So I'm always competitive, and when I lost, it was just about getting back into the winner's circle. Like, so done that back in November, and then here we are. We're two fights down the line. Probably gained more experience in the last 2 fights than I gained in or let's say 3 fights with the loss as well. Than I gained in the first 15. Like, you know. So
did you want that closure of going back, same dressing room, same? Did you for the next one? Like,
not really. Like,
it's just the way it was.
It just happened that way that we were coming back, and I didn't realise it was the same change room till we walked into it. So and kind of Danielle and I had a new team in Liverpool. The lads knew because they were at the show before, the one I lost with JJ Metcalf fought Dennis Hogan, and Joe and the lads were with Dennis or with JJ. So they'd known the change room that I was in as well, and there was a couple of faces when we walked in, like people thought we'd be that I wouldn't want that, but it is what it is. Like, I just knew I had to get back. There was lots of pressure on that night. I had to win, and it wasn't about a performance. It wasn't about a knockout. Like, I always, when I'm going into fights, and this has been from the amateur days, myself and Niall, you know Niall, you've met him before. We've always built our camps off. When you're going to a tournament abroad, there might be 10 weights, and there might be intermediate, there might be elites, there might be 500 fighters, and there's so many weight categories. We didn't go to win my weight category. We always went to win best boxer of the tournament. So even when I was a pro, then it was like stealing the show. That was what everything was based off, was being the name on everybody's lips when they're leaving the arena, because ultimately that's what builds your brand, your platform. That's what people get excited about. But in November, it was just about getting my hand raised, no matter what. Like, no matter what happens in here, just leave, because if I'd have lost that fight too on the bounce, who knows then? Like, what's boxing is cutthroat, like, you know. So this was my chance to get back in the winner's circle and to revive my career, and it was just win this fight at all costs, no matter what, like, you know.
For that second fight then, did you get the same thing in the first round where the place kind of went silent, or was the atmosphere any different?
I practiced a lot in the lead up to that one, I think, to
In case it
not
happened.
focus on the crowd.
Okay, right.
I did not hear the crowd until I remember watching Katie's fight. So I was co-headline again for that one. Went in and got changed after my fight, came out to watch Katie, and I was standing with my missus just where the fighters walk out, watching it, and I looked up at the crowd and I was like, this crowd is crazy, like. And she was like, that was obviously like that for your fight, like, didn't you notice it in your fight? I was like, did not see a thing of it, like, it was just the ring then. And I think that's something that I've learned massively. Some people feed off the crowd, and I do certain stages and at times as well, and you do have to, you only get a couple of these walkouts in your career, and they're special, and you have to take them all in and remember them. But ultimately, whether it's a ring in a spar, whether it's a ring in a gym down the road, or whether it's a ring in the Tree Arena and there's 10,000 people there, a ring is a ring, and you've just got to follow your instructions in the ring and do what you've got to do.
What did you do then to improve that going into that fight? Was it something you actually done in training? Was it just you made yourself conscious of it in training?
Mindfulness, just just meditation, just lying with myself, bringing my mind to as still as it could be, and just visualizing that moment, and trying to practice it over and over again in my head. And I guess, like, that's probably one of the things with the changing room, that why it didn't bother me so much, because I'd ran through this occasion so many times in my head from May to November. And obviously I'd only been in the Tree Arena once to fight, so that was the only changing room I knew from May. So that was the changing room that I was visualizing. So I knew the same walk in, I knew getting into the elevator, I knew getting to the changing room. So I'd visualize this over and over again. I knew what the crowd felt like, I knew what the crowd was. But I remember in the first fight, obviously it was sponsored by Ford's Irish Stout, and Conor McGregor was ringside. And I remember hearing Conor in the first round of the May fight, and I remember thinking, one, knowing that I shouldn't have heard him, and two, thinking, why did I just notice that I shouldn't have heard him? So my mind wasn't fully there. Like, why did I just think that I should be listening to my coach and not listening to Conor ringside, rather than just being fully invested in this moment? But even to have that thought at the time was like, right, you're not fully here because you're thinking about Conor talking, or thinking about this, or so. Yeah, man. Don't know where we were now, man. Losing where we were.
No, just talking about the visualization, the preparation. But it's super.
Everyone
super
says that about,
interesting.
like footballers would say the same. You don't even notice the crowd. If you're in the zone, you won't notice the
and
crowd.
they hear each other.
Yeah,
100%. 100%. I've often been in fights and been at times in where you just think it's. I've went back to the corner before when I was with Pete. I went back to the corner before, and I said, I feel like he's slowed down. Like, I feel like this guy is in slow motion. Like, I can see everything that's coming. I can nearly see his thoughts as they're coming. Like, I know the crowd is silent. I can hear you perfectly, like you're in earphones in my ear. Like, and I can see everything that's coming. And that's being in that flow state and being in the zone when you're fully present and fully focused on all you have to do. But there's so much distractions going on out there. There's lights, there's cameras, there's the crowd, there's fights in the crowd, there's this or that, and if you just let your mind go there at all, like, then you're not fully present in what's important.
That's taken you years, I presume, and you're still working on it.
Yeah.
To master the art of visualization, of being mindful, because there probably will be future fights, let's hope so, where there are going to be massive occasions again, and it's not like it's easy all of a sudden. It's still going to need an incredible amount of work.
I always think after every one I do, and if it's a good performance and it's a win, I'm like, yeah, cracked it. And then I get into the next one and I have a little I call them wobbles. Like, I'm like, fuck, like, no, this is all over again. Like, it's hard, man. It's hard to, especially when it's boxing. Like, if you get hit, the punches, not that they, like you said, out, like, not that they necessarily hurt, but like, they daze you, like, you feel like you're after being hit, like, you know. So all it takes is one punch, like, so it's it's difficult, but every time I put in a good performance and I visualized fights that have happened exactly how I visualized them. And every time I do it, I'm like, yeah, cracked it. And then I get into the next camp and I'm like, you start having these bits of self doubt, or you have a bad spar, or a bad week in the gym where you just feel a little bit tired or something like that. I always kind of go, oh no, it's back again. Like it's a hard graft. And still, I'll never fully complete it or never fully get to the end, because it's always a working process. Like, you know,
you need that bit of doubt though to keep you up.
Yeah.
You need that little bit of fear where it doesn't like freeze you, but it keeps you like, right, I have to recalibrate.
well, it gets you up out of bed in the morning.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
go
If
again.
I don't get up, this fella's up and he's training and he's, you know what I mean? So no, definitely.
Very interesting. That was beautifully put. I was just thinking, right, do you remember what you said? We went in and trained, there was the three of us. Niall is the scariest nice guy I've ever met.
That's actually
He is the most calmly spoken, so relaxed. If you seen him on the street, you wouldn't. He is terrifying.
Yeah.
How, first of all, he's so good at what he does. His communication with us, obviously, we as coaches, we're always intrigued by other sports, how they function. There's obviously crossovers, but he could. I don't think he's massively into football or whatever, but I remember his communication. He articulated everything that we could understand it, from a boxing term to a football term, to things he knew that we could understand athletically or whatever. And then I think G said this because G is mad for G is fuming he's not here, by the way, because he is massive into mindfulness, and that he's the man you want to have you'd be here for 4 hours, unfortunately. We wouldn't let you go and train. But I remember he came over, I think we were on a water break wherever, we were dying, and he goes, Jesus, Niall would batter us, wouldn't he? Like, just said something like that. He was like, he'd absolutely kill us. Doesn't look like it, but he'd just kill us. Like, first of all, he's a great guy, but how important is your relationship with him, and how important is it to have a great relationship with a coach? Because he's now your number one, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah, man. It's I think it's everything. Like, to be honest with you, for fighting, all you want to, and when you get to a certain level, obviously, I'm not talking about the technical aspect here of what he's taught me in a boxing sense, but when you get to a fight at a certain level, it's like I say, your preparation is so important, but it's very much what happens on that night, and having trust in what happens on that night. But you've also just got to have a lot of trust in your corner and a lot of trust in your team. And loyalty is massive, I think, to me anyway, in a boxing sense and just in life, to know that someone has got my back. And one thing that, when I got into this industry, a lot of people always warn you about snakes, and like you see the stories of Don King, what he did to Mike Tyson, and like you hear about boxers being left broke because they're robbed by promoters and managers and coaches, and there's always, when money becomes an object, there's always some sort of fallout with different people, and boxing is definitely one of them sports. But I don't think I've ever had to worry about that, because I've always had Niall and I've always had full trust in him. Like, I've known Niall since I'm 6 years of age, like, and when I got to like competing at like 12, 13, 14, I used to get my summer holidays in school, and every day in my summer holidays would be spent in Naas Boxing Club with Niall. And Niall's like a big brother to me, like, you know, he's why I'm at today. He's why I understand so much about mindfulness, understand so much about the human body and about training and about what I need and what my body needs, and why I believe in myself so much. And the relationship between a coach and a fighter is massive. Niall's, he's my number one now, yeah, but he's always been my number one since I've been, like I say, he's training me in Naas Boxing Club since I've been a kid, and then when I turned professional, Niall was first on board, obviously, and then I went and met up with Pete, and Pete was my number one coach then, but Niall was still very much hands-on, and I spent a lot of time in Unit 3 doing my strength and my condition, and probably 50% of my boxing. I went to Dublin and I got my spars in, and I got some technical work in with Pete every week, but Niall was very much hands-on in that time. And then I lost, and after after the fight in May, I was coming back and I went to Liverpool and teamed up with Joe McNally and Deck O'Rourke and the lads in the Rotunda. And Niall was still very much hands-on then. I lived in Liverpool for 10, 12 weeks. Niall was over once a week. And I was constantly back and forth to Joe on the phone. And I think I made it very clear when I joined up with Pete, and two, I joined up with Joe, that Niall is here and Niall's a big part of my team, big part of my life, and he's going to be on board as well, like, you know. And Niall doesn't ever try and cross or step on toes or anything like that, and he's not in it for himself at all. Like, he's in it for me as a fighter and me as a person, and ultimately he's got my best interest at heart, like, and I know that and I trust that. So Niall's been by my side since I've been 6-7 years old, and we've had these conversations and these dreams for years and years and years, and to see them come true now, and to be living in them, and to be not only living in them but to be able to do them with him, because we've both had this dream together, and we've both, I've worked extremely hard, but like behind the scenes Niall works tirelessly as well. He doesn't sleep at night because he's planning sessions, waking up in the middle of the night, what can we do to challenge each other. And Niall's been, I would not be anywhere near where I'm at. Niall does not get enough credit, because he's been everything in my career and my life as well. Yeah,
It's amazing to hear how aware of it that you are, like how good your relationship is, because again, sometimes you go through like periods where you work with people and you don't appreciate it till it's gone, which is sometimes the nature of it, but it's also nice to have real awareness and presence of, this is a great relationship, we are doing this together, and it's every day, it's constant, it's relentless. To get on this podcast, you had to liaise with him of, right, when can I get into training today? Like, it's, especially with boxing when it's an individual sport, I presume every elite boxer takes it as seriously as you. I would like to presume you would probably say, oh, I do it more, which is the nature of it.
If you're talking elite boxers, yeah. If you're talking professional boxers, professional is a broad term.
Yes.
You can go and get a professional license now,
100%.
and so elite boxers, like top
So you
level.
wouldn't last a minute professional.
Me?
Imagine you in the ring.
Oh, I'd be owie. I'd be running from everything. Like, terrifying. But yes, the relationship, it is amazing. I'm just very curious. Obviously, you went to Liverpool, and I heard you say in an interview it's served its purpose. That was that in reaction to the loss that you went over, and if so, I'm just curious why.
I just think that being at home and being around all of my friends and all of my family, and not being comfortable but being in my comfort zone, I think it would have been a lot harder, and I don't know if I would have went, you know what, I'm fucking putting my head down and I'm grafting for these next 6 months and I'm getting this win back. Like, I think that I needed to be away and spend a lot of time by myself, like, and I that's why I went away more so. It's very good to have these relationships and to have Niall there, and if I have a problem in 5 minutes time when I go outside, if my car doesn't start, I can ring Niall or whatever. My missus as well, have her living with me, and my mum around the corner, and all these relationships are great. But if you're spending all that time with all these people, you don't really think about how you are or what's going on in here. So I think that I needed to kind of reassess myself, reevaluate, and see if I was who I said I was, because it's easy to do all these things when things are easy. Everybody would have been in my position when I'm getting these highlight reel knockouts and Matchroom are ringing and they're looking for to sign contracts, and everybody's ringing your phone, and when you're hot, like, and everybody loves it, yeah. When you lose and people are kind of very quick to change up and, oh, he's not what we thought he was, or hype job and all these kind of things, and I think that I needed to be away by myself to really think and to really form my own opinion on myself rather than to listen to everybody else's. Because when everybody is feeding into that energy of, yeah, he's so good and yeah, he's knocking everybody out. That builds, and that was, I guess, helping me to build that belief and build that faith, and it's all one big energy building towards this. Yeah, he's gonna knock him out, and everybody believed I was going to win, so all this belief is going here. But I think that I had to just take a step back and form my own opinion of myself and go, yeah, you've got here from being 10 years of age and knowing that you were this and you've said that you were about it. Now let's see if you're really about it. Like, so like I say, it's easy to do when you're winning. Everybody would do it when you're winning, but it's when you lose and when people start doubting you, and when the phone stops ringing so much, when you need to go away then and form your own opinion on yourself and say, yeah, okay, let's see if I really want it, because it's only hard when, I guess it's only I don't know what I'm trying to say. Look, it's not so hard when I've said it 2 times already, when you're winning and when everything's going well. It's the easiest job in the world, and that's what everybody sees. But it's when you lose and when you have to go and spend some time with yourself. Yeah, and I went to Liverpool. I met some great people over there. I spent a lot of time alone over there as well. I lived in I shared an apartment or a house with 4 other guys. Just rented a room over there, had my TV in the room, shared kitchen, shared bathroom. Was very, very basic, let's say. And just locking myself away and just really just settling myself. And I'm big, like I would have said, like, watch Netflix or read books. I literally just, that whole period in Liverpool, when I wasn't in the gym, I just sat with myself and just thought over and over again about why I joined this or why I started boxing, and what has the whole journey that's brought me to Liverpool, and the loss and what happened in the loss and all the wins before the loss and the whole journey and everybody who was back at home, and so many different things that I had to just sit with myself and think about, and what my motivation was and why I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And ultimately for me, it's to build a family and to have kids and to be able to support them and to be able to show them that that anything is possible and that you can live your dreams and you can follow your dreams. So I wouldn't be a very good example of that if I followed my dreams until I got a little hiccup, until things got hard, and then I just didn't go back at it, like, you know. So I thought that if I'm going to lead by example and I'm going to preach that you can come back from anything and you can do anything that you want to do, and there's always going to be hardships, then you've got to come back and prove it to yourself first, and then you can preach it then. But until then, if you're just going to give up now, then the easy thing to do is give up, I guess, as well, wasn't it? Like a lot of people I've seen, I didn't see it at the time, but I see a lot of people since that will take a loss, which, look, I was probably never under the impression Mayweather was the only guy who's ever been undefeated. So I was probably never under the impression that if I'm going to have a long career and I'm going to win titles and I'm going to be competing at the highest level, I'm not going to retire undefeated. But it was just about how you can react to that when you have adversity, when adversity hits. And feel like I've been hit by adversity through my whole life with family things and everything else, and I'm very good at dealing with it and coming back stronger again. So this was just another piece of the puzzle and piece of the jigsaw. And like I say, my ultimate goal is to show that my next generation that you can do what you want. If you work hard enough, you can achieve anything you want to do. Pick what you want to do, set your heart on it, and you can do it. So I wanted to prove that to myself before I went preaching it to others, I guess.
It's amazing, yeah.
That,
really good.
That thought to most people, I'd say 99% of people, of sitting alone for like more than 4 seconds is terrifying.
Yeah.
People don't want to do it.
Yeah, man.
It's also would have been so easy to stay with you, like you said, with your circle, because obviously everyone who's close is going to want to support you after a loss.
They all
it's very
want to take
difficult.
your time off it, like, or take your mind off it.
Which is the right thing to do for them, and it's obviously coming from the right place.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's brave to sit alone, regardless of
Especially
what happened.
after a loss,
but after
like,
a loss and after a big loss in your home country, It's wild.
Yeah,
to be
man,
honest with you,
like
for a long time. How quickly between the loss did you go, I need to change of environment?
It was probably right away.
Really?
Yeah, it was probably right away as soon as, because the next day I woke up and I remember thinking, how am I going to get this win back? And the first thing that came to my mind was, you've been too comfortable. Everything was like right on your doorstep. You've been surrounded by friends and family and blah blah blah. And I am now again. That's where I train now. I train at home at Niall. I live at home, but I think that I just needed to get out at that period to come back from that point in my life. Because like I said, if I didn't do that and I didn't get away, I don't think I would have come back. I think I would have been another one of them guys who just kept in their comfort zone, stayed in their comfort zone, went, nah, you know what, this is not for me. Like, so to just get up, shake things up, and to be honest, I met some great people over in Liverpool as well who made me feel really at home. Loads of mates out there now who I still go and visit. I'm probably overdue a visit to go and see Darren Till and all the lads over in the Rotunda, but because it was Liverpool and because I feel, again, like I say, this faith and this belief that I have in something bigger. I've been a supporter of Liverpool Football Club since I've been in nappies. I've been in Anfield since I've been 6 years old with my mum and dad, like, and my brother. So I've always been to and from the city. It holds a special place in my heart. Like, Liverpool to me it's not just a football club. I've been to the city from when I've been growing up, and I feel like I have ties there. And obviously, if you know your Irish history, you'd know that Liverpool is very much Irish as well. So from the famine days, that all the Irish that ended up out in Liverpool as well. So we're very much Irish out there as well, and it felt at home to me out there, and all the lads out in the gym, and they feel very, I don't know, very like here, very Irish, very welcoming. The lads took me in with open arms. Still, like I say, mates with them to this day. Still out travelling to see them. Still go travel all their fights, to see all their fights, and that made it easier as well, I guess. Like, you know.
Yeah. I remember we were over there. I think they're.
Yeah, the scouts are great.
Yeah,
Great
best
crack.
ever.
They're great.
Best
people.
ever.
Great crack.
Yeah.
We were over doing a shoot. And just all the Uber drivers now are so sound.
I used to find myself in
sound.
Ubers for half an hour chatting, going, mate, I have to go and train there. Oh yeah, you're over in Dublin, I've got cousins there, and blah blah blah.
They're deadly crack.
Yeah, they're very similar to us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to ask, because you said before about the idea of supporting family and whatnot. That's kind of what the future holds. Something I see when I see a lot of boxers get interviewed, and it's kind of similar with footballers, where everyone thinks pro footballer, pro boxer, it's the money game, whereas that's generally the 1%. What's something that, like, the average person wouldn't understand about the life of a professional boxer?
Yeah, I think how hard the industry is and how cutthroat the industry is. Like, everybody thinks that, we were just speaking off camera about the football gig, and I think that everybody, once they hear professional athlete, professional footballer, professional boxer, they think, oh, that guy's made it, like, and it's glitz and it's glam. And my first probably 3-4 years as a pro, I didn't make a penny. Like, you're just pouring money in and you're trying to get sponsors to pay for kits and like 500 quid medicals a year, and you're trying to get a sponsor to come on board to pay for that because you can't afford it, because I'm just living with my man, I'm in the gym, and that's the only place I'm going, and my ma's providing my food every week, and I'm blessed to have a supportive family like that have always supported me and followed my dreams. But like, a lot of 99% of the fighters you see on your Instagram from Ireland nowadays, none of them are making money, like. And I think also another thing that people don't see is how cutthroat it is. Like, I lost back in May 23. If I'd have lost in November again, like, people are calling your career is over, like, you know. 27 years of age, 26 years of age at the time, and people are calling your career over, like. So I think it's very cutthroat. There's not very much security in it at all, but I don't ever want to. I think that if you just give it your all, give it your best, and believe in yourself, I don't ever want to. The only fear I have in this sport is ever retiring and looking back on my career, because I'm very aware that I'm 28 now, so I've probably got 4 or 5 years max left, and then I'm just looking back on my career for the rest of my life and telling people, everybody's going to ask me when I'm retired about this fight or that fight, and I'm just going to be telling stories about my career for the rest of my life. So I want to make sure that it's something that I'm comfortable telling, and it's not one that is like, oh yeah, I lost that fight because I didn't do enough here, and I should have took that fight but I didn't. I accept every big challenge that comes my way, and everything that makes sense for me and my career, and that will get me higher up the ranks, and get me bigger fights and bigger memories and onto bigger stages. I've said yes to every single opportunity in a heartbeat, because I never want to be one of these guys who's looking back and going, I could have done this, or I should have done this, should have took that fight. If I'd have taken that fight, I'd have beaten him, and then I would have fought for a world title, or blah blah blah. I've no regrets so far in my career, and I will end my career with no regrets, knowing that I've put everything into every training camp. I've believed in myself. I've pushed as much as I could in for making the biggest fights, for fighting on the biggest stages, for building the biggest platform, for being involved in the biggest fights, and I've always gave my best. So I can retire knowing that. And look, I've fought in front of 10,000 in the Tree Arena twice already. Big fights are being lined up for the rest of to finish out 2024, and then world title plans in 2025. So I'm still very much in the middle of this dream that I've been manifesting from a kid, like, you know. So it's about enjoyment for me now, and fulfillment, and keep chasing what I've always believed that I was destined for, and just to never end my career with a what if I done that, or but yeah, I would say to answer your question of what people misinterpret the most, I would say that it's definitely hearing that somebody's a professional fighter, and a lot of professional fighters that I see out there are working full-time jobs as well, and they're going to the gym before they work, and then they're going to the gym after they work, and it's a catch-22, because I've always believed, and I'm lucky in that sense that I turned professional early, and I just had a supportive family that I could live with my mum, and she would feed me, and I could just go to and from the gym, because you've got to take that. I had no kids, and you've got to take that 3 or 4 years of sacrifice where you're not earning anything to then get there. But if you're trying to support a family and you're trying to earn a wage as well, I don't think you can ever get to the level that you need to, because it's a full-time job. Like, I'm coming from here, I usually don't have a podcast on in the morning, obviously, but I go to the gym.
It's not hard to get
I go to the gym in the morning. At 11 we train till 1. I'll probably get a massage from 1:30 to 3:30. We train at 4 to 5:30, and then I'll probably hit yoga up, or else the sauna on the way home. Like, it's a full-time gig. It's not like I can get up and do a little 3 mile before work, and then head to the building site all day, and then get back and hit a few pads. That will not get you to the levels that I want to go to. It is sustainable for somebody who wants to fight at a lesser level maybe, but I want to fight at the highest level, and I always want to challenge myself and try and bring myself to the highest heights. Like, so
recovery obviously is, Whoop can sponsor me here. Recovery is also insane. Like,
Whoop sponsor me. It's
a big thing here when teams want to go from semi-pro to professional. Is the big thing is the lads who are professional can rest, whereas the semi-pro players have to go and do a shift here, there, and everywhere. And
massively
rest
important
for an athlete is insane.
Yeah,
Whoop.
massively important. Shout out Infinity. Hot yoga as well in minute.
Yeah, it's quality there. I think what you described perfectly describes how, first of all, cutthroat the nature is, because essentially you're not earning like anything really for 4 or 5 years as a professional, and you have to live off, like, your mom's making you food.
I've not earned anything since May this year.
Like, and people from the outside, naturally, they go on your Instagram, see the verified tick, they see the cool things and it's just constant professionals living the life. Same with footballers, living the life, whatever. But you went the alternate route of going all in.
Yeah.
So you've trained all day, every day for years and years and years and years and years and years. And luckily enough for you, you have had 2 major fights when you're fighting from the 10,000 at home, and every other fight is still top level. And even at that, you're still like, oh, I've got so much more. I've got so much more. While on the other hand, those that you're describing that are professional boxers, but they're also working as well, they live such a challenging lifestyle because they're trying to balance the two of them. But if you want to hit the height of the heights, you have to commit. And where the cutthroat nature comes in, it mightn't have worked.
100%.
Something could happen. Let's say, like you described earlier, and I remember the hype around it because we obviously keep tabs. We're massive friends, massive friends of the gym.
Yeah.
We've met you before, so we've vested interest. We've watched the fights. And in that second fight, when I talk about tension, we had some sort of vested interest in that. Unit 3's on the line. You're fighting a big fight. We know who you are. And I could feel the tension around it.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen you for years, or for like a year or two.
Yeah.
And I could feel the tension around that second fight. If that second fight doesn't go your way, like you said, it could go. And
you're
everything you've put into that
you've got no contract with no promoters. You've got no security. You're living basically, even now at this stage, even if you sign with a promoter, and I'm signed with Matchroom, but you're living fight to fight, like.
I was gonna, it's not like, so football, obviously a contract is like 12 months or whatever. Is it X amount of fights? Is that kind of how
I've got like, let's say when I signed with Matchroom, was originally a 3-fight deal. I had the first one, they wanted to extend, so we extend to a 5-fight deal. But I think the one I lost was the second fight in that deal. So if I didn't have a good manager, I lose that second fight, the rest of the contract is void.
Really?
Yeah, so they could have just went, okay, yeah, he's done now. We're on to the next up and comer, or whoever beats you. Yeah, we're going to sign him now instead, and then you're just out in the open. Whereas I've believe I've got the best manager in the world. He negotiated a comeback fight in my contract. So my deal with Matchroom was, if any of these 5 fights that I'm contracted for, if I lose any of them, I've got a comeback fight at X amount, and then we're back to the original deal.
Okay.
So that was how my contract was worked. Whereas other people, or people who have managers who aren't as experienced, or people are maybe negotiating their own deals or something like that, you sign this deal and it looks really good because it's like, fight 1 is X amount, 2, 3, 4, and you see all these numbers in front of you, and you're like, whoa, this can buy my house, this can change my life. But if you lose fight number 1, all these 4 fights here that you're looking at all these numbers
They're
for,
gone.
they don't exist. Like,
that's crazy,
so,
right?
I was just blessed that I have somebody that's really clued in and that knows the game, looking after my career, and they gave me that comfort of knowing that if I did lose one of these fights, because look, like I said, I was just trying to go through the levels and just try and be challenged and try and step up the levels as fast as I could. I won Irish title, then I was like, right, let's go WBO European, let's go next. You start climbing the world rankings, and I just kept on stepping up. Ultimately, it's probably going to happen that you're going to lose one of them fights. So
especially if you're trying to level up each fight, you're
exactly.
I'm not
trying to just like fighting. I can go and fight on smaller shows in 6 and 8 rounders and just have run outs and stuff like that. Now, no fight is a run out, don't get me wrong, but like beating lesser opponents and building a record, but it's not what I'm in the game for. Like, I'm in the game to see how high I can go, and to see what level I can reach. And if you're prepared to do that and you're doing that, it's always good to have a comfort blanket underneath that, you know, if I do take a loss here, there is a route back to get to where I was, like, you know.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, that opponent is the best teacher you've probably had, like that when you do lose, you know.
Yeah, definitely. No, most definitely learn more from that than I think that I learned from, I had 16 wins before that. And when everything's going well and you're winning, you don't focus on, you just look at the highlight reel knockout and you go, yeah, that was class, on to the next. That's who's next. Even like, it annoys me because we fight on a Saturday night. Let's say your fight's at 9 o'clock, you get out the ring at 9:30. By 10 o'clock, within a half an hour, I'm asked 10 times, who's next? Like, it's like, I've just put in 12 weeks of graft to go and focus I've been going to sleep thinking about this fella. Like, I'm just after getting out of the ring after beating him, and you're asking me who's next already. Like, I feel like the boxing game does not let people enjoy their, look, that's the media and that's just the game, that it's who's next and what's next or whatever. But yeah,
I actually never considered that.
yeah.
Like with media and stuff after games. Or after
First
fight, should I
question
say.
is always what's
Yeah,
next,
who's
who's
next?
next, and it's cool to be excited about that
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
as
yeah.
well. Like, you know, it's not a dig at the game or anything.
Yeah.
The time is, like you said, like when you lose in other sports, it's like football, obviously, that's we be in, like,
Next
at
game.
least you can go to your players. It's like, well, the best thing about football is we put it right next week.
Yeah.
It's a week, it's not, you don't dwell on it. But obviously a combat sport, it's going to be a lot longer of a layoff between fights.
Yeah, like I think
You know?
I think that even after the wins, as I'm getting older and more mature, I try and practice like what's next and all these things that people ask. I try and, like, I've focused, like I just said, 10 weeks or 12 weeks on this certain guy, like, and I'm just looking at videos of him and pictures of him. I know what he eats for breakfast, like, do you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden I beat him and it's just like, right, forget about that and what's next. Give me a bit of time to just digest what I've just done and let that sink in first, that I've set this goal and there was this mountain here and I've climbed the mountain and I've reached the summit and I've achieved this. Let me decompress for a couple of days and then let's see what's next. That's what my point of view is on it. But everybody's very fast paced and very excited and wants to know, yeah, I've beat him. And look, I'm fighting before the end of the year, and when I win before the end of the year, I'm looking at 2025 already for a world title shot, like, you know. So I am in that mindset as well. But just initially on the night, I always get a little bit frustrated that I've put so much work in to beat this guy. I beat this guy, and then you just forget about it and ask me what's next.
Yeah.
Let me enjoy this one. You know.
Yeah,
But
that's fair. That's very fair.
Yeah.
Thinking long term before, as we wind down.
because, like I say, when I lost, you have to think about it for 6 months.
Yeah.
Nobody asks you what's next then, like, you know.
Yeah,
So
100%.
let me enjoy the
If
win.
you're gone after that one,
yeah.
Absolutely. But that's, again, perfectly describes the cutthroat nature of the game. Like I was saying, you've and I was in it last week. You wouldn't know with the trim, by the way. I left it long for a
Dead
wedding.
trim. Dead trim.
It's the deadest. Needs a redo.
I've
but
been
anyway.
today at 1, to be fair, so I'm not as
some.
fresh myself.
Lucky for some. You have opened the Diva. Is it Diva Coffee Co? Is that how you
Diva
have?
Coffee Co,
Yeah. Very nice. How's it going? First of all,
Really well, absolutely flying.
Can you make a coffee? Is that?
I can.
You can, right?
I can, yeah. No, I don't. We've got a full-time barista. I make my own every morning.
Okay.
And yeah, I always just thought if I was getting into it and I was going to own a coffee shop, I like coffee. I like how it tastes, and I'm into my coffee. I need to know how to make one, like, especially if we've got a barista in there and there's a queue out the door and I'm just standing there looking at him. Like, I kind of need to be able to jump in and give him a hand. So, yeah, I can make coffee. It's going really well. We're blessed with the gym community next door, who we've built off at the start, and then we're in next door to Niles Gym, which is a busy industrial estate as well. So we've got everybody around there coming for their lunches, and we're building a brand around Naas and surrounding areas. People are getting to know us, and just looking for a second location now, and just keep building them.
Throw one of them
Already?
new.
Jeez.
One of
Yeah.
them new for me. That'd be great. Right down the road.
There's a million and one coffee places if Minute,
Yeah,
but
there's a lot.
it would still be good.
Yeah.
Minute
Still be very
is
good.
saturated, but Naas
Yeah.
was as well, to be fair. Coffee is just such a big market.
Coffee's
now.
everywhere, isn't it? Like, it's saturated regardless of where you go.
Yeah.
But the look of it is very unique. Like, when I obviously go to Ray, who's set up in the
Next
barber
door,
shop there,
yeah.
literally right in it. Like you said earlier, the idea of, like, the Diva, the pink, it's so goddamn bright.
Yeah.
Like, the look of it, it just stands out a mile. And then the setup actually in the place is nice. The lighting's very good.
Yeah, it just catches people's eyes, and I like the pink. I've always liked pink, and that's what I've built my brand off. And people started getting to know me from that, and then we just kind of wanted to. Myself and Danielle are involved, and we just kind of wanted to build something that we would feel comfortable in. And the idea behind it was, would you sit here for 3 or 4 hours, drink your coffee, chat to your mates, feel relaxed, feel chilled? So that was the vibe we wanted to bring. And then we've got Babs's photos around the walls. We've got a bit of memorabilia for myself, and then Babs's photos that she's taken. So it's nice we sell them from the wall as well in the shop.
Nice.
So it's nice to be able to keep that close as well, and to support Babs in whatever way we can as well. But yeah, it's going really well. First business for the two of us, so we're always learning, constantly learning, and constantly doing things wrong and making mistakes. But we're like I say, we're learning, we're getting there, and yeah, we're gonna just keep it moving and keep building them.
Love that. Forever success. Let's hope. That was
Amazing.
That was amazing. Huge thank you for
Enjoy
your time.
that, lads.
Genuinely, because we know people say all the time they're busy. We know how busy you
Yeah.
are. We see the schedule. We see what the guys are like in Unit 3, now 2 and 1 as well, the whole extension,
Yeah.
everything around the area. It's one of the only places I go to where when I'm in, when I'm standing there, you can, like, the word high performance is just thrown around everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. But when you're in that area, you see, I remember when we walked in that time, and this was a couple of years ago, it's even got better now, and you have the coffee shop, everything just seems like a massive community, and everyone there is at it, regardless of their age. Everyone's buying at it because the culture and the environment. When we walked in, I think we were just kind of standing around waiting for Orla to come over or wherever, and there was like a class going on. There was like young lads boxing, young girls boxing. I think you were in the ring doing your session. There was people here, and we are like, Jesus Christ.
It's true high performance.
Like,
Everything high
and
performance.
like you say,
At
it's
it,
not just high performance where there's boxers in there in the ring. There's athletes everywhere.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
even just your class coming in. Like, I jump into the classes when I'm outside the camp, and the guys in the classes are pushing me to the wire, like in the classes. And I'm
Everyone's
like,
killers.
And they're like, oh, no, you're just warming up here. I'm like, no, you're on my heels there. Like, trust me, you're on my heels. Everybody in the gym is fit. Everybody in the gym can move. And then you've got, like, Niall has built his thing with the boxers. Orla's got the footballers in there. Evan obviously with Orla now as well. So you've got so many class athletes just popping around the gym and seeing all them work. You've got your classes, like I say, that are really busy as well. Teenagers boxing is absolutely booming. So no, loads of positive stuff coming out of Unit 3 definitely, and a big future in the next couple of years.
Without a doubt. So again, huge thank you for your time, and thank you for speaking so openly,
Appreciate
so
you,
well.
lads.
You can see why you're doing so well, and congratulations on everything you've done so far. But without a doubt, there's so much more to come. So again, huge thank you for your time.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks, Gary.
Appreciate that.
Boom. That was
Class.
beautiful.
Nice one,
Wonderful.
lads. Enjoyed that.